Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for joining me for yet another monthly net worth update. Today we are covering August 2025. Summer is going by so quickly and it's insane, but let's go right ahead and jump into the numbers. My net worth at the end of last month, at the end of July, was $135,214. The equity that I have in the condo I own sits at $63,187. This is a slight increase from the last month of $323. My RRSP, or Registered Retirement Savings Plan, here in Canada sits at $68,361. This is a really significant increase of $2,067. If you guys don't know and you haven't seen my other videos, all of my RRSP funds are in one single investment in the Vanguard All Equity Fund, which is known as VEQT if you wanted to search it. So that's been doing amazingly well over the last month. If you didn't see my previous video, I did end up taking like $2,600 or so out of my RRSPs last month because I had really big expenses, a few things that popped up that I wasn't expecting. And thankfully the market has recovered pretty much the entirety of what I took out, which is incredible. I really don't want to have to dip into this account again until retirement. And I will talk about this in a little bit, but nice to see that it recovered. My DCPP, or Defined Contribution Pension Plan, sits at $5,313, just a slight increase month over month of $157. So I usually have a cash account as my last item on this list, but I decided to split this up into two different accounts. So the first one is my travel fund. Currently I have 400 Canadian dollars in this account. And then I now have an emergency fund, and this sits at $423. So overall, if you compare it to last month to my cash account, I am down like $77, which is really not a big deal. The money that is in both of these accounts is coming from the money I took out last month. So I did take out, I think it was about $3,000, and then with the withholding tax, I got like $2,600. And I spent the majority of that to cover previous expenses and bills. But what was left over was just over $800 or so. So you can see they're in two different accounts at the moment. And I'm hoping to grow these accounts so that hopefully I never have to dip back into my RRSPs. Definitely not something I want to do on a regular basis or at all moving forward. And that brings the grand total net worth for August 2025 to $137,684. This is a really great increase month over month of $2,470. And this is just coming from market gains, honestly. I didn't have a huge income month or anything like that, which we're gonna get into next. So really happy to see that. For income, I made 205 Canadian dollars on YouTube. This is just through AdSense. I don't do any kind of partnerships or anything like that. And then my regular full-time job, I made $3,113. This is a bit more than normal. I ended up getting a raise, like everyone at the company ended up getting, I think, a 2% raise. And then the government in Canada lowered income tax for people who make under, I want to say it's like $54,000 a year. That is me. I make about $45,000 every year. So that was a nice little bonus. And then I also worked, I think, about 5 hours of overtime. So I got a little bit of a bump from that. And that was nice. It was nice to see that on the paycheck. And that brings the total income for the month to $3,318. For expenses, like every month, my housing expenses were $1,740. Insurances, I paid $182. This includes my insurance for my condo, like for my belongings, as well as my vehicle. Phone and internet, I spent $38. So I ended up switching my internet to a different speed. And because I did it mid-month, I got some kind of a refund. So my internet for the past month was only $1. I don't know, kind of weird, but that is why that category is so low this month. Electricity, I spent $54. And then streaming services, I spent $33. So I ended up getting Netflix to watch Happy Gilmore, the second one. I've also been really getting deep into Love is Blind UK. If you guys are Love is Blind fans, I haven't seen the UK one before, but I noticed the second season came out. So I've just been going back watching season 1 and I'm really enjoying it. So that is up a little bit. And then on top of Netflix, I also pay for F1 because I watch most of those races. Gas, I spent $130. So this was because I had a bunch of visitors over the month. Normally my budget's about $50 for this, but we can talk about that in life updates and how that went. Groceries, I spent $476. Again, I had guests in town, was feeding more than just myself, so that is why this is higher than usual. My typical budget is about $300 a month. Entertainment, I spent $166, so this is great to see this so low, although I did spend a bit when I had my guests in town, but most of the things that we did were things that I would have to do normally, so a lot of those expenses fell into my miscellaneous category, which is next. And that was really quite high this month. So that was $755. This included all of the patio furniture I bought at IKEA, and I had a few other home items that I got. I also got a few things like toothbrush heads, and I needed some whitening strips and stuff like that. There was some clothing I needed. I needed to buy like a new raincoat because I lost the one that I had and it's been raining like crazy. And then I also had a bunch of prescription medication that I needed to buy. So this category added up very, very quickly. I also believe that Goofy's food was on this, and that's about $130 every time I get it, which is about every 3 months. And her litter was on there as well, and that's about $40. So it added up very, very quickly. But going forward, hopefully that category is not so crazy out of control. And that brings the grand total expenses for August to $3,574. So now let's go ahead and jump into some life updates. So like I mentioned, I did have a few visitors in the month of August. I had a friend come visit, I had a family member come visit. And because of that, yes, I was spending quite a bit of money on things like food and just like miscellaneous things. But it was amazing and well worth it. Of course, I'm never gonna complain about spending money when I have people in town, because it just seems wrong to like hold back and not do things with them because of money. And I can afford it, even though, you know, I have been spending a lot in the last couple of months. I really wanted to go out and have fun. So the next thing on my life updates list is that I am planning to list the van in like late September. I'm hoping to get about 800 Canadian dollars for it. And once I do sell the van, I'm gonna rely on cycling and walking. Honestly, that's usually what I do anyway. I typically only drive the van maybe once a week. And usually it's because it's just convenient and I don't necessarily need it, but there aren't any like big issues with the van mechanically at this point. And I kind of want to get rid of it and get rid of the insurance payment and the gas and everything like that, because obviously it's a 1996 van. It's horrible on gas, and I've been spending a lot of money on gas lately. So I think what I'd like to do is just get rid of the vehicle and start saving up for a new vehicle next year. My budget would be around like $5,000, I think, and I estimate I'd need about a year to save up for that. So I would kind of like to get rid of it now and go through the winter and everything kind of right off the bat, because that is the worst part. Like summer is super easy without the van. So that is something I'm planning on doing, though it's not 100% set in stone. So stay tuned on an update with that. The next update is that I joined the condo board during our AGM, which we had like a week or two ago. Basically, they were just short on people and I didn't really want to join, but they were talking about a few things that I wanted like insider information on, specifically a special assessment that looks like it's coming up quite soon. And I'm a little bit concerned about that. I don't know how much money it's going to be to each unit, but it sounds like it's pretty much guaranteed going to happen. And there might be some like legal stuff going on between the building I live in and the one that shares the parkade with us, because we legally like share common areas and whatnot, and they're trying to fight us saying they don't want to pay their share. So it's kind of a nightmare. I don't know how much this special assessment is going to be. I'm hoping it's around like $5,000 or under, but that's going to change a lot of things for me. So we'll see what happens with that. And the last thing I just wanted to quickly chat about is just being incredibly burnt out. I've had a lot of visitors, a lot of things going on this summer, just busy absolutely all the time. Haven't had a lot of alone time, haven't had a lot of time to just kind of chill and recoup. I am definitely not an extroverted person in that I feel energized when I'm with other people. I feel very drained. I need alone time to like get myself back together and everything. And I just feel like I'm falling behind on a lot of stuff. Like you guys haven't seen me in a month. And yeah, and I keep saying I want to do YouTube more frequently, but it's just not possible right now. Summer is crazy, crazy busy. And I really want to plan a trip in the winter somewhere warm, like somewhere down south, maybe Mexico or something like that with a group of friends. But it's really going to depend on whether or not I sell the van and also how much this special assessment is going to be, because I don't have a ton of flexibility in the budget. I don't have a lot of disposable income. So I don't know if it's going to be possible or not this year, but something I'm thinking about and hoping I can make happen. And that wraps it up for today's net worth update video. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you all had an amazing month like I did in the market, and I'll see you guys really soon in the next one. Bye.